You hear the music, you know what time it is. This is The Jump Off, and I am your host, KODX Factor, as part of the Game Night Lounge Media Network. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We greatly appreciate it. No matter how you're listening to us, whether you're at work, you're in your office, you got us playing on your PC, or in the background, some background noise, we greatly appreciate it. If you're in the gym and you're working out and you got us playing through your headphones, we greatly appreciate it. You're driving to work, you got that long commute, and you want to go ahead and turn this show on, I greatly appreciate it. It means the world to me. So no matter if you're listening to us on your mobile device through the iOS, Google Play stores, whether you're listening to us through our website, or if you're just listening to us through our YouTube channel, we greatly appreciate it. It means so much to us, and that you're turning to us for some gaming opinions, gaming news, and just all-out gaming talk. We try to stay focused just solely on that because this is like really, it's a gaming channel. Our YouTube channel, our website, all video games related. We try to keep up to date with everything that's going on now, so everything is still fresh, everything is still new. We have reviews going up. Because right now we're in the middle of October, and we have the Let's Play horror series still going on. Our Halloween events are still going on. We just had a new entry into that with Paranormal Activity, the VR experience. I think it was called The Lost Souls. It was on the PlayStation 4. We just had that episode go up over the weekend, and man, I got to tell you, that was something else. I ain't gonna lie to you. So that is now up on the channel. So we greatly, if you like the Halloween series, please let us know. We greatly appreciate it. And if there's a game coming up, like a horror game or just an older game that you want us to play to incorporate into this Halloween series, please let us know. It would. We welcome all input, no matter what avenue, whether you want to do it on Twitter or Facebook, whatever the case may be. Let us know so we can try to incorporate some of those games into our Let's Play series. Next up, we have, I think, DayZ coming this week as part of the Halloween Let's Play series, so we're going to keep it going with that. I think we have a few more going as well. I think we have I think we're going to do some Black Ops 4 zombie mode to incorporate into that as well. I think that'll be a huge hit. So that's what we've got going on. We've got so bogged down with reviews in like the last 2 weeks, and we got another week coming up this week and next week with a ton of reviews. So just to recap and to look at them and let's see what we got. We just had Assassin's Creed go up not too long ago. We had Mega Man 11 go up not too long ago. And then just last week we had the Black Ops 4 that went up. We had Super Mario Party went up before that. The World Ends With You, the final remix, went up. And I gotta say, I was actually expecting a lot of views on the Black Ops 4 review. We got a bunch more reviews or views on our World Ends With You, the final remix review, than we did on Black Ops and Assassin's Creed combined. So I was actually kind of surprised. So I was like, okay, so a lot of y'all want to see a lot more kind of like those offbeat titles, and there's more obscure titles as opposed to like the AAA big blockbuster releases like Black Ops delivered. So we got a couple of games like that coming this week, so make sure you stay tuned to the channel for that, because we got a couple of under the radar kind of games coming that actually did surprisingly well. So we have, just to go ahead and look at them. We're still on the fence whether we're going to do a review for Dark Souls Remastered, just because Dark Souls is an older game. We never did review the remastered one that came out. We got a PlayStation 4 copy here in the office, and I think we got a Switch version coming in on Friday. I want to say it's Friday. So the Switch version, we are going to... We're on the fence of whether we're going to review it or not. Let us know what you think. Do you want to see a review for it? If you do, we'll be happy to put one together. As of right now, I don't have an assignment on it yet. So if that's something you guys want, let us know. So that way I can quickly assign it out. But we do have the Soul Calibur 6 review coming. That'll be hitting this weekend, possibly on Friday or Saturday. We have reviews for... I'm just pulling them up here. Give me 1 second here, guys. Because, like I said, we've recorded a lot. The Lego DC Villains, we have that review going live here this week. Starlink, which was one of those under the radar type of titles that not a lot of people are talking about. We have that review going up this week, as well as some Let's Play videos from it. And then we have an indie game, surprisingly enough, an indie game from a developer that I'm actually good friends with, who sent us a copy of his latest game that he just put out on the PlayStation Store. The game is called Pitterpot, so we are going to review Pitterpot, and that review will probably be up live later on this evening, so just make sure you're on the lookout for that. So it's from the indie developer Treefall Studios. We're hoping that maybe we can get him on the show once the review goes live and people kind of get a chance to look at it and stuff like that. Maybe comment if you have any questions for him. I would love to get him on the show. If you're listening, I would love to get you on the show just so you can talk a little bit about Pitterpot, the development process of Pitterpot, the challenges of Pitterpot, because he went from a Wii U version to PC to now a PS4 release. It's actually fully released on the PS4 now. I think a Switch version of it is coming here soon in the next few months, but we're not exactly 100% sure on the release date for the Switch version. But it is available right now on PS4 for $9.99. And we reviewed the game, the recording of the game, we got plenty of the gameplay footages that we needed. I've already done the voiceover for it, so we're hoping to get that review edited and trimmed down and ready to go live by this evening. So just make sure you stay on the lookout for that at our channel. Now, one of the big things I wanted to talk about this week is actually, I don't want to say troubling, because I have a couple of very different opinions on this. And it's something that kind of hit the wavelength over the weekend. Now, I recorded our last show this past Saturday. I was in the office early that morning, had a lot of stuff to get done anyway, and I wanted to make sure I had enough time to do the show. So I set aside time to record the show, and I recorded the show. When I finished and the editing was done and the show went live, the news had hit about Rockstar Games and the development process behind Red Dead Redemption 2 that left many people, I don't want to say angry, but some were angry. You're going to have those, you're going to have those that are going to be upset about it, and some that just kind of like cringed at the fact that there was a report that came out that their employees that were working at crunch time to get this game out on time for its release date, that their employees were working 100+ hour work weeks. 100+ hour work weeks. Now, Rockstar has not come out and confirmed or denied this report. I'm going to go on and say that I think that they're probably maybe a little bit fabricated. 100 hours is pretty extensive. I don't know of any developer that's ever done 100-hour work weeks, especially even in crunch time. 100 hours is a lot. I mean, you're looking at, think about it. The standard work week for an average worker is about 40 hours a week. That's just on average. Most people, if they have like a full-time job is going to usually consist of about a 40-hour work week. You're talking about just over doubling that amount. Now, I have heard, and I can even take this from experience, because some of y'all have asked, like, well, what experience are you talking about? I have had expertise in the field of game development as well. I've been there in that circle. So I know the process that goes when it comes to game development and crunch times. And this is going to kind of tie into what we were talking about a few weeks ago when we were talking about Telltale Games and their employees and the studio closure. Now, 100-hour work weeks, that's a lot, even for the measure of a crunch time. And you're talking about a majority of your employees working 100+ hours. Now, I know from a developer standpoint, if there are crunch times and your hours are up there and you're being paid. Now, from what I understand, let me shift track here just before I continue. From what I understand, they're 100-hour work weeks, but yes, they are getting paid overtime for that. So this isn't something that they're working their normal pay above and beyond what their contract says they're supposed to work. So this is not saying that they're not being compensated for their time putting in. They're being compensated. They're being paid overtime. Now, I am sure, because, I mean, Rockstar is a formidable company right now. They're probably one of the richest game developers that's out there, aside from maybe like the likes of Epic Games or EA or something like that. But Rockstar is one of those companies that has the assets to do this. They can afford to have their employees work extended hours and pay them overtime and bonuses for. And I'm sure they're going to be getting paid handsome bonuses once this game releases, because they had to work these times to ensure that the game can get done and delivered on the date that they had promised. Now, I am all for promising a release date and then living upon that release date. I'm all for that. But if you're forcing your employees to work 100-hour work weeks to get that done, I have a little bit of a problem with that. Now, me as a fan, I love it because I want my game as soon as possible, and I want it in the best condition as possible. I like playable. I want to be able to play it and enjoy it. But coming from the development side of it, I want those developers to be compensated for it as well. And thankfully, there's no reports that they're not being compensated for it. They're being paid overtime. And I'm sure their checks are going to be looking really, really good. Which, if they're getting paid overtime for it, it means, because I come from a business side as well. I've run a couple businesses, so I know how overtime and all that stuff works. You have to be asked if you're going to be working overtime. You're going to be like, well, you're working overtime today, no questions asked. You have to be asked and willing to work overtime, or you put in the overtime hours yourself. I don't think this is something that a developer is going to come out and say, you have to work overtime this day. That's not going to be the case. I think a majority of the time, especially in business, you have to be willing to work overtime, or work overtime yourself, or you can ask an employee if they can work overtime, and then they can kind of put in their overtime hours from there. Especially when you're at crunch time, you know you're going to be spending a lot more hours at the office than just your standard 40-hour work weeks. You're in crunch time now. The game's got to be coming out at a certain time. I've had friend developers that say their crunch time hours usually fluctuate anywhere between 50 to 80 hours in a given week. And these are studio heads. These are studio heads saying they're putting in at the most 75 to 80 hour work weeks during crunch time. And the fact that the game developers have their report saying that their employees, a lot of their employees are working 100-hour work weeks. I don't know. For me, I've never been asked to work a 100-hour work week, period. If I've ever worked that long during a work week, it's been by my own, just me wanting to do it by myself. Now, I've been asked to work 50-hour work weeks before. Like from a salary position, I've been asked to work 50-hour work weeks, 55-hour work weeks. I've been asked that, and I've had no problem with it. But you have to understand, crunch time to a developer is crucial. And there's endless days and nights that you're going to be spending at the office to make sure the game is done on time, and done properly. Because you got to get the game released. Many developers know when crunch time comes, you've got to make the employees the most comfortable that they can possibly be, which means that a lot of their offices probably have beds. So in case they sleep there, they can go to bed on like a cot or a futon or something like that. They have a place for them to lay their head down and rest. They've got a fully open kitchen. Some have catered kitchens. Some bring in outside food. They have food ordered. They feed their employees throughout this entire stretch. So this isn't like they're like a sweatshop type of deal. This is comfort living here. Now, it's hard work. Don't get me wrong. It is hard work. I've been there. But they're making the choice because they're passionate about their project and they want to get it done properly and they want to get it done on time. I don't know of any developer that's worked in the gaming industry that's come up to crunch time and said, I'm still putting in my standard hours. I'm not working overtime, to get this game done. If they're passionate about a project, like a majority of these guys are, this is their hard work. This is their effort. I'm putting in the time to get it done. If we promise the world we're going to deliver on this date, and we can, if we just push ourselves a little bit more during those final hours, I'm doing it. So it's all dependent on what you're passionate about. So I look at what I do. Okay, I work a 40-hour work week, sometimes a little bit less. And then on top of that, I work on this website, our YouTube channel, my shows. So if you add in all the hours that I work on a typical week, it's going to usually average out to about 60-hour work weeks, maybe sometimes more, sometimes less. It all depends on the amount of content that we have coming down our way. Now, in months like October and November, those 60-hour work weeks are a lot more frequent, sometimes 70-hour work weeks. 100-hour work weeks is a lot. And like I said, the conditions at the studio are probably actually, like I said, really, really good. They have exercise rooms, they have sleeping rooms, they have full open catered kitchens and food brought in for everybody to enjoy while they work. So it's not like I said before, a sweatshop. They're actually really, really livable conditions. Now, the only downside from that, and like I said, I've been there, the only downside is you're away from your family for a long period of time, especially around crunch time. And then you got, the post-development and stuff like that. So you got all that stuff filling in shortly after. But I look at it like this. It's like, if you're passionate about what you do, then of course you're going to want to put in those hours. Not anybody that's building something of their own. Whether you're a business owner and you want to get your business off the ground, or whether it's a project you've had in mind for the longest amount of time and you're finally getting it going, you're going to put in as many possible hours as you possibly can into that project. And that's all by choice. Passion equals choice. And that's all going to reflect in the final product. That's why I think when Red Dead Redemption 2 comes out and it hits stores, it's not going to show that, sometimes you can look at the game and be like, oh man, during crunch time, what they do. This game, you're going to tell the passion was there because the game is polished, it looks ready to go, it's done, it's going to be a great game, loaded with hours of content. And what I'm gathering from this campaign and this game itself when it comes out is it's a lot. I mean, you're talking about, from what I've heard, the game's going to have over 80 hours of gameplay involved with it. That's a lot. So this game is going to be big on scale. And then we look at the file size of the installs coming up. Now, this kind of left me scratching my head a little bit, and this is kind of getting off topic, just a slight hair, because we're still talking about Red Dead Redemption 2. But the file size for the Xbox download is about 80 gigs. That's still a lot, but, not an over huge amount, you know what I mean? But the PlayStation is going to be clocking in at about 108 gigs for the install. Now, why is that? Why is there a difference between the two? And then there was a screenshot that came out from the Japanese version of the game with the cover art. And on the back, it was noted that this game is going to consist of 2 discs. Why? Are the discs that we have now, can they not fit the entire product on there like 99% of the other games out? Is Red Dead Redemption 2 that big in scale that it's going to require 2 discs to play? Or maybe 1 disc for install and another disc to play? Didn't Halo have that, if I'm not mistaken? But you have 1 disc to install, 1 disc to play. But that's what the rumors are about it right now. I don't know if that's going to be representative of the final product. But I'm going to look at the final product. When I sit down and I play Red Dead Redemption 2 and I go to review it, I'm going to be looking at the amount, and that maybe that's just me when I do reviews and stuff like that. I look at the amount of time that these guys put into the project, how much passion is put into it. And when you look at any Rockstar game, like Rockstar-led game, you could tell the passion behind it. Because, one, they're not the quickest games to ever come out. Let's be honest. When Rockstar announces a game, it's going to be some time before that game actually launches. Not only that, when a Rockstar game launches, it's going to launch in the best possible shape it can possibly launch in and ready to go. And with tons and tons of content, enough to keep you going. Look how long Grand Theft Auto's been going, and it's still going today. These guys are passionate about their projects, and they're passionate about their work, and it shows in their products. That's why every game that they make makes so much money, it's ridiculous. So yes, Rockstar can afford to pay these guys bonuses, and as well they should. And then I look at other studios like what Telltale Games did when they closed down their studios and they laid all their employees off. And then they want to get funds to finish making the Walking Dead game as opposed to paying severances to the employees that they had to let go. I was completely against that. Pay these guys their severances. They spent those crunch hours with you. They spent those hours trying to get these games polished and ready to go. They spent all of that time developing games for your studio to help make money. And then when you try to say, well, we're going to continue developing it, but we're not going to pay everybody their severances that they are due, that was a little bit of a slap in the face. But the fact that this report comes out, they got employees working 100 hours during crunch time. One, like I said in the very, very beginning of this show, 100 hours is an awful lot. That is a lot for a crunch time game. And there are studio heads at big time studios that don't even put in that kind of hours during crunch time as it is. Hardly any. And they've gone on record to say that. I've seen it. 100-hour work weeks, are you kidding me? But at least they are getting paid for it. They're getting paid their bonuses. They're getting paid their overtime. And their overtime hours are going to be racked in. I'd do it. I would be away from my family for a long period of time, and I'll let them know. But look, there's going to be a good month or two that when we get down to the actual release of the game, we're going to be putting in overtime. And a heavy amount of overtime. So it's going to be a lot more likely that I'm going to have a change of clothes and take my showers and sleep at the office during certain days, so that way I can make sure I'm right there and ready to go as soon as I wake up to start working on this game. And let them know that well in advance. But when that game is done, the game launches, and we're close. We're close. We're only a week away. When that game comes out, that studio, they're going to that's why it takes them so long to put games out. They do these crunch times, they get these games out, and then they're ready to chill and lavish in what they have. And then start taking baby steps towards their next project if they haven't already done that. And who knows what their next project's going to be? I can only imagine. But that's how it works, people. You have to be passionate enough that you're going to want to put in that overtime yourself. Nobody's going to force you to do it. They may not keep you around much longer after that fact. If you're one of those notorious ones, I ain't working overtime. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. You may not be around the studio past that one title or whatever you're contracted for. But if you're passionate enough, you're going to put in those extra hours to make sure it's 100%, because your name's going on that. If you're working on that project, somewhere at the end of that game, when they had that list, and I'm always one, when I watch credits at the end of games, I actually watch the credits all the way through. Those credits, like those people, your name is going to be on that game forever. And if it's going to be the best possible work you've got, you're going to put that in your portfolio. You want to make sure it's the best thing that's possibly going out. And this should ring true to any developer in the gaming industry. It's already hard enough to, one, get a job in the gaming industry, and number two, to maintain one. You've got to have a strong enough portfolio to go in on. Why not? Especially if you're working at Rockstar, why not? It's like, you know what? I'll stay. I'm gonna continue to work on this because I want it to be in the best shape when this thing comes out. I want this thing to be so well received that it sells millions and millions of copies. Critics love it. Fans love it. The world itself loves it. And look, in the way that this game is being marketed and hyped up, it could very well be one of the best-selling games this generation. It has the potential to do that. And I'm sure they want to exceed what they did with Grand Theft Auto 5. And Red Dead Redemption 2 right now is well on its way to do that. They just got to keep on working on content on it and get this thing out there, which is what the crunch time hours are for. So for these people that are backlashing their employees, have you ever stopped to think about, like, well, this is something that they wanted to do themselves? And if there's an employee that works at Rockstar that says, look, I'm being forced to do this, this is a disgruntled employee that doesn't want to be there to begin with. He's not passionate enough, and he just kind of wants he's already walking out that door saying he's forced to work those 100-hour work weeks. You may have been asked, or say, look, we need to put in this time to get this game out on time, so please do whatever you can. But they're not going to lock you inside the building. And if you're one of those notorious ones that's not going to put in the overtime hours all the time, or never do something that you're asked, then of course they're not going to keep you around after that. Why would they? I wouldn't. But that's just my opinion. If you feel that strongly against Rockstar for doing that, you need to seriously second guess, like, your own passion. Would you put in that overtime hours or for anything that you're passionate about? Would you put in that extra time on something that you're building, regardless of what it is? And if you were not one of those that says, look, nope, I'm not going to compromise my time with that or for that, then you need to seriously question your own life, your life potentials. And what you're seriously made of. And what are you really doing with your life then? Everything in life requires some sort of a sacrifice. Everything. Whether it's work-related, family-related, doesn't matter. There's always sacrifice for everything. Are you willing to play ball? Or are you going to be one of those ones that complains about every little thing? But that's going to do it for me. I thank you guys so much for listening. My name is KO the X Factor. This is The Jump Off. All the guests that appear on this show and future shows are part of the Game Night Lounge Media Network. Be sure to follow us on our website at www.GameNightLounge.wordpress.com. You can also follow us on Facebook at The Game Night Lounge. You can follow us on our YouTube channel, The Game Night Lounge. You can also subscribe to our RSS feed on the iOS and Google Play stores, as well as TuneIn, Podbean.com, and all other podcast avenues. Thank you guys so much for listening. I'm KO the X Factor. This is The Jump Off. And until next time, game on.